Hey, and we're live. We're live. All right, let's go. This is episode 138 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. It's just me right now. I guess the Browns fans didn't want to come answer for Deshaun Watson not playing against the Ravens. In seriousness, I don't know how anybody thought DTR was going to be the answer. But I don't know. I don't know. Wishful thinking, I suppose. But this is kind of what I'm trying to tell Bengals fans with we can't just plug in a backup quarterback and expect to win. It doesn't work like that. But anyway, we're going to go over all that today. We're going to go over whether the Bengals should be panicking after their 1-3 start. And then we're going to do our predictions as always. Thomas is busy this week, guys. As you can see here, we've got a replacement in Joe Vorrell for this week. He's from the Square Table Degenerates podcast, and he's going to join us a little bit later. Like I said, I've got some very important Browns issues to cover, so I hope he gets here soon because we definitely want to give them the time that they need to answer for what is going on there in Cleveland. But you know what? At least neither of us lost to the Texans, though, because White's – oh, wait, shit, Thomas isn't here. Because the Steelers still suck. Yeah, because because Thomas just said not me.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
All right, so we're here. Sorry about the confusion and everything like that. Still trying to figure out what exactly we're doing. I'm not used to doing this show by myself. So we're live right now, and we're going to do things the way that we normally do things when we're live. But, there's no game to talk about. I don't have anybody to play off of, so we're here. I do see that you're here, though, Mikey. I've seen you've been here for the last hour. We kept kind of pushing the time back because we're not 100% sure what's happening. But, Saints beat the Patriots tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. Actually, what are the standings right now? As far, this isn't the Saints podcast, but I'll give a little bit of since you're the only one here right now, I'll give you some give the Saints a little bit of coverage real quick. So the Saints are 2-2. First of all, doing better than the Bengals, so it can't be that bad. You're one game behind the Buccaneers. Hey, they might beat the Patriots. The Patriots aren't that good. I've been saying all year, the Saints. I don't think the Saints are going to be this big, gigantic contender or anything like that. But I do think the Saints are kind of low key going to be sneaky this year. I think they're building something that I think has some merit there in New Orleans, and it hasn't really come together just yet, but it's getting there. It's getting there. I really like the Derek Carr acquisition. So hopefully for your sake, they beat the Patriots tomorrow. That'd be pretty cool. I'm sorry you guys lost though, Mikey. That is quite unfortunate. But anyway, Bengals and Browns. So like I said, we're going to discuss whether the Bengals need to panic. But I think we should maybe, and I really wish Joe or Thomas were here right now. At least we scored over 20 points since week 12 last year. Well, that is true, Mikey. Although our offense isn't exactly scoring very high lately. But yes, we have scored more than 20 points since week 12 of last year. Yes, our offense was quite good last year. This year, we scored over 20 points against the Rams, but that's the only week that we did that in. That wasn't even a very good offensive game. So I feel you, but our offense sucks too right now. It's pretty bad. But the Browns, I don't know how long is Deshaun Watson supposed to be out? Even if I had a Browns fan here to tell me how long Watson is supposed to play out or is supposed to be out. The issue, honestly, with that right now is nobody really knows how badly Deshaun Watson's hurt, but apparently Browns players are mad at him for sitting against the Ravens. So, maybe it's worse than it seems. Only Deshaun Watson's going to know how Deshaun Watson's arm is. So, you can't – I hate it. And I've been getting annoyed with people with, this week doing the same shit to Jamar Chase, right? not the same shit, but similar shit. But like people trying to create drama. Although it does appear that there might be a little bit of drama in Cleveland from Browns players who aren't happy that Deshaun Watson, he actually got cleared by the doctors and he chose to sit because he felt like he needed the rest. Very much the opposite of what you're getting at Joe Burrow right now, because Joe Burrow is like, like I'll go in there, I'll play on one leg if I need to, because my team doesn't stand much of a chance without me. And as we saw with the Ravens, the Browns definitely don't stand much of a chance without Deshaun Watson, as up and down as Deshaun Watson's been, right? And then apparently Deshaun Watson, according to Yardbarker, is aggravated with his teammates as well. So that can't be a good situation. But I also don't want to speculate too much on that. I don't want to read too much into that because, what was it? Jamar Chase made some comments the other day. Like, I'm always fucking open. He said that. But it was literally just a comment in passing. And, they're all obviously frustrated about losing 3 games in the first 4 games of the season. And he was just saying, he wasn't criticizing the coaching staff. He was just saying, I'm always fucking open. I'm over here, and that's true. He's been really good this year. He's been backing up his talk. A bunch of Bengals fans are mad at him because they're losing, but they're not losing because of a Jamar Chase. But at the same time, like, there's also there's these rumors going around that Jamar Chase fought Zach, got into an altercation with Zach Taylor, and that he's requesting a trade. And none of that is true. Jamar Chase is one of the most chill human beings I've ever seen play for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's not going to act like that ever. And just the fact that people are just believing a lot of this fake news is just really frustrating. But it's where we're at. And I don't know how much of this is 100% true with Deshaun Watson. But, I can tell you that I'm not exactly – it doesn't look good from my perspective. But again, I'm not the Browns guy. I don't really keep super heavy up with their team. I don't know exactly how all their stuff kind of works. Just kind of checking my phone to see if Joe's going to get here, because I would really like to get his some Browns fans' perspective on the Deshaun Watson thing. Hopefully Thomas will be back next week, so if Joe doesn't show up, then Thomas can tell us what he thinks. Mikey traded Joe Burrow for Deshaun Watson in fantasy before the season. I don't know if that was a good call, Mikey. Because Deshaun Watson, there was no evidence to think that Deshaun Watson's going to be particularly good this year. And there's plenty of evidence to think that Joe Burrow, despite getting off to a slow start, is going to have a good year. So, I hope you got some more compensation than just trading him 1-for-1, Joe Burrow for Deshaun Watson. That would be a terrible trade. You probably could have gotten Deshaun Watson off of waivers. Come on. As an LSU fan, you're right about Jamar Chase. Right, exactly. Everybody who knows anything about Jamar Chase knows that he is not going to go out and do stuff like that. He's not going to go. He's not the type of guy to go out and demand a trade just because the team's losing. If he was demanding a trade, it'd be over a contract type of thing, and it'd be a business tactic, because sometimes you just got to do that when you're essentially running your own business, which is what being a player in the NFL is kind of like, because you have to be your own representative. So maybe in that situation, he might demand a trade. But it wouldn't be because he's frustrated or mad with anybody in the organization. I'm not even sure he has the capability of getting frustrated and mad with anybody in his own organization. He's the most team-centered guy I've ever seen in my entire life, except for maybe Joe Burrow. But I digress. It's just a lot of bullshit drama that people are trying to make up stories out of nowhere. I don't know. But that leads me into my next point, though. Should the Bengals be panicking right now? I can tell you, me personally, I am getting pretty close to ready to panic. 1-3 is not the worst thing of all time. I actually don't even know the numbers. Has anybody ever come back? I wonder if I could look that up, actually. Has anybody ever come back from a 1-3 start? So the 2018 Houston Texans came back from 0-3 to make the playoffs. So, I mean, obviously, you can come back. If you can come back from 0-3, you can come back from 1-3. Because probably the Houston Texans were 1-3 after starting 0-3, right? So it's not the end of the. And by the way, that was Deshaun Watson's Houston Texans. Interestingly enough, but I mean, see, that's the thing. You've got the elite quarterback, and I don't know what was going on during those first 3 games of the season, but I don't know. Actually, I could probably look that up too. Deshaun Watson, Pro Football Reference. Let's see how he did in the first few games of 2018. Let's see, 2018 game logs. And we're just riffing right now because I'm not used to doing a whole podcast by myself. So that's where we're at. We're at right now, guys. All right, so loss beginning of the season. Deshaun Watson threw for 176 yards, a touchdown and interception the first week. 310. So Deshaun Watson actually did perform better than Joe Burrow has been performing, to be fair. But at the same time, we know that Joe Burrow is capable of getting off to slow starts and bouncing back, right? I mean, he had an okay game against the Rams, I mean, the defense was a big reason we won that game, but still, he's got it in him. He's just got to figure something out. And I will say one thing, guys. The reason why I don't think the Bengals fans should be panicking yet, despite being 1-3, despite being 1-3, and that does suck. But Joe Burrow's got the fire lit under him now, guys. Like you can see it in the way that he's talking. He decided to play against the Rams because he just was like, oh man, we can't get off to an 0-3 start, and now they're 1-3. So that sucks. But at the same time, you can see the fire in Joe Burrow's words when he's talking about where they're at in the season. We got to be better. We got to do this. We got to do that. He personally pulled the team together and addressed the whole team. And I don't know what was said in that meeting because I wasn't there, and I imagine there wasn't really any reporters there or anything like that. But it's Joe Burrow, so it most likely went something like, guys, what are we doing right now? This sucks. This sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. And we're just going to have to deal with it. But at the same time, we're fully, I mean, we're still only 2 games behind the Ravens right now. We can totally come back and win this division. And if we just set our minds to it, blah, blah, the whole Joe Burrow spiel, just getting everybody to see that, there's plenty of hope left. And, kind of like the Aaron Rodgers when he addressed the fans and he was like RELAX, and that's just kind of Joe Burrow's whole vibe. So when I hear stuff about that happening, it just kind of feels like this is the beginning of where the incredible story starts. In a year or two, we're going to be talking about, this season. And this is going to be a turning point. Now, whether or not this season turns around quickly enough, or whether this is the turning point that leads to a big rebound in next season, I don't know. But point being, stuff like that, when Joe Burrow does stuff like that, it always, 100% of the time, leads to something remarkable. And that happened. So, I mean, we still got to see results on the football field, but that happened. So that's why I'm not ready to panic right now. Am I ready to say that, there's still a chance that, so there's still a chance that we make the playoffs. But am I ready to say that, we're definitely making the playoffs this year because I heard Joe Burrow say something inspiring, or just heard that Joe Burrow said something inspiring? No, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that, this whole Bengals fans panicking, acting like everything is just the world's ending. We need to trade Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, which I have genuinely seen a few people say. By the way, it's nuts. People when you start losing, people lose their minds. It's insane. I've said it before, I'll say it again, but thank God Bengals fans are not actually in charge of the Bengals because the reactionary narratives that just come out of some of these people's mouths is just unbelievable. Mikey says we've been panicking for the last 5 years. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. We were panicking for 5 years straight between what was that? Yeah. Between when we lost to the Steelers in the playoffs and getting Joe Burrow. That was about a 5-year period, and that was awful. That was almost as bad as the 90s again. Luckily, it only lasted like 5 years. And we got Joe Burrow out of it, so it worked out. But yeah, I feel you on that one, Mikey. We were there not too long ago. But hey, that said, we were there not too long ago, and then, we went to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it can turn around on a dime. It really can. Will y'all beat the Cardinals? I sure fucking hope so, Mikey. Dude, I will say that's one thing. And you know what? Like, this isn't, I'm talking about my show now, and this is the podcast. So, technically, I should probably keep this to like my own live stream. But fuck you, I'm the only one here. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about right now. There were people on like a bunch of Titans fans, like after the live stream, the Bengals lost to the Titans in horrific fashion, and a bunch of Titans fans came on, deservedly so, by the way, came to talk. Unbelievable. There's so many comments on my live stream of the Bengals Titans game after the game finished, and Titans fans showed up and just talked unbelievable amounts of smack. And on that note, I will say, where the fuck were any of you guys before y'all won that game? Like, I didn't hear none of y'all chirping. I've been saying that shit all week, and I didn't hear a single one of you chirping about nothing until you won that game. Like, I just, whatever. Point being that those Titans fans just kind of came out of nowhere and deservedly gave me shit because I was talking a lot of shit and got, railed over it. Fair enough. The Bengals lost in embarrassing fashion and fuck me because of it. I get it. I probably deserved that one. But again, where the hell were you guys before that game or during the game? Like, literally, I don't even think before the stream ended, any Titans fans showed up and were talking smack. Like, it was all after the fact. It was crazy, man. That's how Packers fans were when they came back. I don't know. I see Packers fans chirping a lot about a lot of stuff, but then again, like, you can't, like, I watch Tom Grassi a lot. You can't be part of Tom Grassi's community and not be exposed to Packers fans. But dude, it was crazy. I was like, I get it. I'd be talking a ton of smack to, like, if the Bengals went out and beat somebody, and I did it a lot in 21. Like, people were talking in 22 too, actually. A lot of people earlier in those seasons were talking about, like, oh, the Bengals, they're terrible. We should be able to beat them. There shouldn't be any problem. And then when the Bengals won, I would go in and be like, what was that, motherfucker? Talk to me again. But at the same time, I was also chirping, like, throughout that whole thing. Like, I would be responding to these people when they'd be making the comments and be like, you know what? Let's see what happens when the game actually happens. If you want to talk all this smack, we'll see what happens. And then the Bengals won. And I'm like, see, I told you. But, like, these Titans fans can't be saying, see, I told you, because they're just showing up to troll me, which, again, they absolutely have the right to do. Like, y'all's team won, and that's fair. I'm just saying, where the fuck were you guys? Like, it kind of makes you look silly, because, you kind of came out of nowhere. You weren't supporting your team, at least, to me. I didn't see you guys supporting your team and making all these comments when I was talking all this smack. Like, y'all didn't show up until after your team put the beat down on my team. Like, and I haven't heard anything from them since either. Like, that, all I'm saying is they showed up once and we're like, you were wrong. And I was wrong. I thought the Bengals were going to, like, I thought that was going to be like the Bengals offense is going to pop off this week. And this is going to be like the game that kind of brings everything back together. And we scored 3 points. so that sucked. All right. What are we? We're about 30. We're about 25 minutes in, right? So I haven't heard anything from Joe yet. So I'm going to assume at this point he's probably not. He had something like kind of get in his way, so he just might not show up tonight. He's on the show a lot though. We'll have him on again at some point. Hopefully Thomas will be back next week, and then we can talk to Thomas about what we need to talk to Thomas about. But yeah. So I think let's go ahead and jump into predictions. So Mikey, and if anybody else is watching, let me know what you're thinking. about these games. Also join the Pick'em League. I'll go ahead and put a link to that in the chat once I bring it up here. But we're going to go ahead and go through these games and put down our predictions and talk about what's going to happen. And yeah, like I said, I wish I had one of the Browns fans here to give me some what do you call it? Some contrast, because right now you're just getting my perspective, which I'm more than happy to give you, but might not be exactly what you're looking for. Nope. As far as the other AFC North teams go, we usually we've been kind of doing less of the state of the AFC North in recent episodes, just because we're trying to get through things without giving y'all like 2-hour long episodes, which might be fun to listen to. It's quite difficult for us to actually keep up with doing 2-hour long episodes all the time, though. But it is what it is. It's not a big deal. All right, so missed the Bears-Commanders game because unfortunately timing didn't work out. I would have picked the Commanders, so I'm just telling on myself right now. The Bears beat them 40-20, which is I would have never predicted that, but I totally would have picked the Commanders. I'm assuming Thomas would have picked the Commanders too, but I'm just telling on myself now that I would have gotten that one wrong. So already starting off the week on a foot that is probably not desirable. But like I said, I'm going to go through these games, and you let me know what your prediction is in the comments. Mikey, I know you're watching. If anybody else is watching and hasn't commented yet, go ahead and put your prediction in the comments too, and we'll all kind of collaborate on all of this, right? So we're going to start out. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars facing the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, and I'm going to go ahead and just real quick say I'm going to pick the Bills here. I want to pick the Jaguars, right? I wouldn't call myself a Jaguars fan necessarily, but the Jaguars are definitely like the team that I feel most positive about in the NFL that isn't the Bengals. That's, they're kind of fun, and they've been getting a little good lately, so it's kind of fun to watch them. But I just haven't really seen it quite so much this year. And the Bills look pretty damn good. They look like the Bills look every year. They look like a pretty good team that's probably not going to do a whole lot in the playoffs. Kind of reminds me of the Bengals back in the day, right? Except the Bills have gotten a little farther in the playoffs than the Bengals did back in the Andy Dalton era. And also Josh Allen's a way more talented quarterback than Andy Dalton. But overall, the results from the Bills kind of remind me of the old like 2010s era Bengals, where, they were pretty good in the regular season most of the time, but nobody ever really genuinely thought that they were like the Super Bowl favorites. And I mean, like maybe 1 or 2 years, like people had them fooled. The Bengals and Bills had some people fooled into thinking they were the Super Bowl favorites that year, but it was never really going to happen. And I feel that way about the Bills, but I do feel like, at this point in the season, this is the Buffalo Bills. This is the part of the season where the Buffalo Bills tend to be the best. And you could see that from the results right now. The Jaguars are not doing as well right now. So, I mean, I got to go. I want to do it with the Jaguars, but I got to go with the Bills. The Bills are going to probably win that game. All right, Mikey says, we were up 17-0, lose 18-17. What they talking? Well, you see, I mean, that's kind of the thing, Mikey. Like, y'all were up 18-0, or y'all were up 17-0. So that's kind of crazy that y'all lost that game. But at the same time, like you said, if I was a Packers fan, I wouldn't be talking all that smack. Because, like, at the end of the day, yeah, they came back and won, and that was against incredible odds. But they still only scored 18 points. Like, that's still not a good game, like, from the Packers. Like, that's pretty cool that Jordan Love, like, kept us cool enough to kind of pull things back together and end up winning that game. That shows a lot of fight and moxie out of Jordan Love. With Packers fans got to be happy about that. But at the same time, that defense still let the Saints get up 17-0 to begin with, and then the offense only scored 18 points. And yeah, you ended up winning the game, but that's still like I feel like Packers fans were too excited about the result of that game when it honestly was not all that impressive of a result, other than just the fact that they came back. And right. Plus, Derek Carr got injured. Like, I mean, like, I didn't think it was that impressive a win at the time, and I still don't think it's that impressive a win. All right, you picked the Commanders. Yeah, I would have picked the Commanders too. Like, I'm just being honest. There's no way I would have picked the Bears. And then Jaguars. Yeah, I'm picking the Jaguars. All right. Cool. So we got Texans Falcons. Texans Falcons. All right. Well, so the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud in particular appear to be a bit of upstarts right now. The Atlanta Falcons are the Atlanta Falcons, and I don't think there's really these are two teams with the same record. These two teams with the same record, but they're very different stories of how they got to this record, right? So the Texans got off to a slow start, and then C.J. Stroud just showed up, right? So, whereas the Falcons, they're just kind of a middling team. They're not that good. So Mikey says Texans. I'll agree with you, Mikey. I'm going to go with the Texans too. I don't know. Is this the year where the vision finally works in Houston? I don't know. I do know I really like DeMeco Ryans as a coach. And I didn't like C.J. Stroud, but he is kind of proving me wrong right now. So maybe this is the year where it finally comes together for the Texans after their crazy ass rebuild. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I definitely think this could be the year that I definitely think they're going to be in the playoff conversation this year. And I know I haven't been doing the power rankings. I might try to get back to doing that at some point. But the Texans would definitely, I think, be in playoff hopefuls right now. Or at least I'd have to really look into that. But they'd either be in playoff hunt or playoff hopefuls right now because they're 2-2, and I feel like they're better than 2-2 right now. Like they're better than 500. They're like the way they're going right now. I feel like they're going to be like a 9-10 win football team, which is definitely enough to make the playoffs. So we'll have to see. The Bengals play them later this year, so the Bengals could be with the way the Bengals season's gone so far. If the Bengals get their shit together, they could be competing with the Texans for a wild card spot. So they better win that game is all I'm saying. That game's going to be way more consequential than I thought it was going to be. I ended up reserving those tickets for me and my son to go to because it'll be his first football game. And I kind of wanted to pick a game that was a little less consequential just in case, things happened and, we ended up having to leave for whatever reason because he can't necessarily handle the crowd. I mean, he's a little 8-year-old kid, right? And also, like me and my dad's, we got season tickets, but we sell most of the tickets so we can basically pay for the rest of the season tickets. And we figured the Texans game was going to be the least in demand game. But the way the season's going right now, if the Bengals do get their shit together, then that Texans game might very well be one of the most in demand games of the season, which is kind of crazy to think about. All right, moving on. We got the Carolina Panthers traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. I'm going to pick the Lions, and I don't think this needs much more explanation than that. The Lions. Hey, Joe!
There we go. Sorry about that. Dude was at the ball. And...
You ain't got your audio, Joe.
Oh, shit. Hold on.
Hello?
Can you hear me? You should be able to hear me. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
You can hear me.
What about
Mikey,
now?
can
What about now?
you
Can you hear me
hear Joe?
now?
That's the question.
Fuck.
Wonder if...
Can you hear me now? Oh, audio source. Microphone. Yeah, I can hear you good, man. How about this? Can you hear me now?
It's probably on my end. It's usually on my end. Some sort of technical thing that's going stupid. What
Sure.
if...
Hold on.
Can you try talking?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hold on.
Oh, now you're frozen.
Damn it.
What the hell? Shit.
Hold on.
Oh, God, man. Why is bringing other people on so damn hard?
All right, that works.
Okay, you're not frozen anymore.
All right, can you hear me now? No, damn it.
Mikey, can you hear Joe?
What about now?
Okay, so Mikey can hear you. I just can't hear you for whatever
All
reason.
right. Yeah, I can hear you.
I wonder...
I can hear you.
Okay, Mikey can hear you. I can't hear you, which means it has to be... Oh, you know what? I think I figured out what it is.
All right.
I don't think my speakers are connected.
What about now?
Okay. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. For the fourth fucking week in a row. Okay, I'm connected.
Yeah, how about now?
Hey, I hear you now.
All right, perfect. I got to be later the whole time, so we're good.
Yeah.
All right, how many games did you
One of
pick
these
so
days,
far?
I'm going to show up to a stream and we're going to be ready to go from the start instead of 15 different technical difficulties.
All right, so I've picked games. I've picked games. Who did? Hold on one sec here. How many games have you picked so far?
I've only done the first three right now. So Bills, Jaguars, Texans, Falcons, and I was just getting to Lions, Panthers. So if do you want to?
Let me catch that. So I picked the Jags to win. I got the Texans to win. And what was the other one?
Well, the other one was Lions, Panthers, but I mean you can. I was just getting to that, so you can. I said Lions, and I don't feel it needs more of an explanation. But tell me what you think.
Yeah, I did Lions too. Honestly, that's probably a game where you'll see an upset because the Panthers will probably do. That's the way the NFL's been working this year. But I mean, all signs point to the Lions winning.
Well, that's the thing. Isn't Bryce Young like banged up too?
Yeah, he's not. I think their Lions probably is a little suspect, is why it's like that. I mean, it's still early for the Panthers, though. I mean, between trading CMC away and trading all the picks away for Bryce Young and trading DJ Moore, it doesn't look like but we'll see. It's still really early, man. Because early in the year, everybody thought the Texans were going to be like 0-18 and shit, and they're starting to come around. So every week, man, this year it's a fun year. It really is in that aspect.
Well, I was just telling them about now if the Bengals get their shit together, which is the key. But if the Bengals get their shit together, like me and my dad, we went in on season tickets this year, and our idea is we're gonna sell like half or more of the tickets to cover the cost of the tickets, and then just go to a few games for free, right? And one of the games I asked if I could, specifically reserve was the Texans game because my son wants to go to a game. Now he's 8 years old and has some behavioral issues and stuff like that. So I figured I'd take him to a game that wasn't going to be super consequential. If we have to leave early, it's not the biggest deal in the world. But the way things are going right now, if the Bengals get their shit together, they could be competing with the Texans for a wild card spot. So that game might actually be super, super, super important. And also part of the reason I didn't sell those tickets because I figured they wouldn't be in demand anyway. But now it's kind of looking like that might be an important game.
I've held Browns season tickets since 19. I bought like a month before we traded for Odell Beckham Jr. I bought the tickets, and it worked. And I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that too. Every year, fucking it'll rain. Obviously 2020, the pandemic, there wasn't any tickets, but when you think you're gonna, it just never works out. It's fucking horrible. I hate it. I hate that part, man. And there's so many fans that do that too. There really is. That's why a lot of people don't know for the Browns, there's a season ticket waiting list. And the reason is because guys like me and you will have 8 tickets and just sell half of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. And I'm not trying to keep people from going to the games, but at the same time, and by the way, it works quite well. My dad's actually had the season tickets since like 1994 or something like that. And he's, maintained them every year by basically just doing this. There have been some years where he needed to sell more tickets. There was actually a long stretch where he actually was selling all the tickets every year just because things financially weren't really great for us at the time. But at the same time, and also the Bengals were so bad that you had to sell like a lot more tickets to actually like cover the cost of the tickets.
Well, that used to be our favorite roadie every year was the Bengals because before Vorrell, you guys suck. So it's like fucking going out to Cincinnati. Tickets are cheap. And then the year after they went to the Super Bowl, that same section we went in, we used to get group seats. We used to all, the Browns just contact Bengals groups. It was fucking 3-4 times the price that we paid. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to Cincy this year.
Yeah, that's about right. I will say I almost in college, this was like 2013 or something like that. I was looking at doing a road trip with some friends to go up to a Browns game, and the reason why I came up with that idea is because I found tickets for $8. And I don't know if you're familiar with this seat, Joe. I mean, I imagine it's something that would be funny amongst Browns fans, but the seat was literally behind the fucking steel pillar. Like you basically have to watch the game like this the whole time. So no wonder.
We grew up like that. Cleveland Stadium was like the upper deck pillars everywhere. So you can just be literally sitting there right behind the pole. Have you seen, this is a little bit off topic, but if you get a chance, go to YouTube. And there's a guy who did videos. He went around all these college stadiums to find the worst stadium or worst seat. And a lot of them never get sold, but like some of the seats he sits in are just hilarious. Because he'll be sitting there and be like a giant booth right there. You can only see like half the field. Give me 2 seconds. I gotta change out this sweatshirt, dude. It's so fucking hot right now.
No, I feel you.
I can still hear you.
No, you're fine. I got some comments I got to catch up with anyway. So Mikey went to the Saints-Bengals games and nearly puked in that entire fourth quarter. Yeah, no, I remember you talking about that one. That was a fantastic game for me, though. That was a fantastic game for me because, well, sort of. It was really annoying up until that fourth quarter because, like, y'all weren't supposed to be all that good, but Drew Brees has always had, like, this thing of where he just, like, kicks our asses, and finally worked out in that game. So that one was good for me. But so Joe, before we jump into the rest of these games, the thing I've been saying it throughout this whole podcast episode so far, but I need to get your thoughts on the Deshaun Watson situation.
Well, right now, I mean, if you take the whole thing holistically, how he acted when he first got here, all the interviews, etc. I mean, it appears to me the guy's just here because he got paid a lot of money. Yeah, keep in mind, I don't have any inside information on the Browns organization. I don't have any sources. I just know people like me and you know what I mean? But I mean, it's a management problem, dude. Jimmy Haslam's just not a good person. He's not a good owner. Throws money at shit. Thinks it's going to go away. Culture shit. GM shit. The coach shit. That filters down to the quarterback. If you can't call good plays, he's not going to do anything. They got enough talents to win 8-9 games. I mean, he can pull it off if the cookies fall. It's good. We got a great defense. They could even
right. So what I'm referring to is Deshaun Watson's injury and the fact that a lot of Browns fans until that Ravens game seemed to be convinced that DTR was going to be like the next big thing.
I thought DTR was going to be serviceable, but I mean, he was playing in the preseason against, third and fourth stringers, and he was just decimated by Stefanski's play calling. I mean, DTR with Chubb in there maybe does a little better, but I mean, there was just no game plan. I mean, DTR just had no shot. He really had no shot against the Ravens last week. I mean, people are all like, Josh Dobbs wouldn't have won that game either. I'm not sure Deshaun would even won that game, to be honest with you. The Ravens just played a good game. We made mistakes. I mean, it was what it is.
And then, do you think there's any truth to? Because like I've been seeing a lot of articles, but I was telling them earlier. There's these articles going around right now about Jamar Chase is having physical altercations with Zach Taylor, and he's requesting a trade, and people who are just complete fucking morons like just believe this shit for some reason. So, but I'm also seeing articles, and I want to ask you because I don't know about the validity of what I'm hearing, but there's articles going on saying that like both Browns players are mad at Deshaun Watson for choosing to not play against the Ravens, and then Deshaun Watson is mad at Browns players for being mad at him. So is there any truth?
I haven't seen the second one. I have seen the first one. I haven't really looked into it. I mean, you get squabbles throughout the year. I remember there's a famous game here in Cleveland. It was called the Peyton Hillis strep throat game because basically he was like right in the cusp of getting a contract, and they were like disagreeing a little bit of terms, and Peyton Hillis just had strep throat and missed the game when he easily could have played, supposedly. And that reminded me, this was like 2010, 11. It was reminding me so much of that game, you know what I mean? But, I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic, but I've seen this fucking movie before, Kyle. I mean, Deshaun's just going to mail it in, and by the end of the year, we're going to be calling for his head, but then they'll fire Stefanski and give Deshaun another year, which they got to, Because, I mean, Stefanski's just that bad. And then he'll probably tank next year. And then 2025 will go in there. Until they show me otherwise, I got to assume that. No, I can't get my hopes up with this fucking team and that roster and this guy. I mean, look at the plays they're running. 20-yard reverses, they're just throwing it out of bounds. I mean, these guys have no clue what they're doing. It's like they almost don't even practice, you know?
I guess my question then is Stefanski that bad? Because he started off really good, and it's like so many people have come through the Browns. You're talking about how, like, you know, X guy has no chance. Does Stefanski even really have a chance with the resources?
Oh, no. I wanted Stefanski fired in 2021, to be honest with you. And I want him definitely fired at the end of last year. They just whatever. I mean, you got to root for the head coach. But, I mean, if you look at Stefanski's first year, it's like, oh, it's playoff year. That was the COVID year. Half the games they won because of accident. The playoff game against the Steelers that we kicked ass, he wasn't even coaching. He had COVID. He was up in the booth. Wasn't even doing anything. Every year since he started, his loss total his win total has decreased. And he's learning. He's regressing. The proof is in the pudding, man. If you're a Browns fan, you're still on Stefanski's side, you're just eternal optimist because I just don't see it. The guy can't play call. He tries to overthink everything. He fucking reverses and jet sweeps. I don't know why they can't just run it right up the middle on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Every other team in the league does it, but no, we got to run a triple reverse and throw the ball out of bounds and get for 18-yard sack. So, I mean, I just have no faith. I got a video. This is almost 2 years old now. Let's face it, Stefanski's got a good coach. And it's still on YouTube. And fucking, I still think like that. I mean, just the football.
I can confirm that. I can go back to probably the first episode you ever came on our show, and you were anti-Stefanski then. So, I mean, me and Thomas has kind of come around a little bit to, like, your side. He's still kind of, like, on the fence a little bit. But back then, me and Thomas, like I can remember when Kevin Stefanski got hired in Cleveland, and I thought, fuck, that's actually a really good hire, because doomsday nightmare scenario for me is the Bengals just keep sucking forever and the Browns eventually get their shit together. And so that's what Kevin Stefanski being hired felt like to me, because it's like, fuck, that's actually exactly what the Browns need. They need, like, a no nonsense, no bullshitter, like Mike Zimmer type of guy to come in and, like, get everybody's heads on straight. And then it seemed like that's what he was doing. And then things kind of started falling back apart in very typical Browns fashion.
No, I would agree 100%. Hold on. Got a little gold going there. Is what it is. But yeah, it's like, I mean, well, there's just no hope. I mean, it's the management problem, dude. It has him he creates this culture. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure we'll see if I get 20 for 20 or 30 for 30 about it in 10 years, but the guy's just an idiot. He just doesn't, he's made no good choices. I mean, no good choices. I mean, look at who I just don't get it. I don't get any of it, man. I don't. The problem is he's obsessed with these fucking Harvard guys and these good-looking guys. I think everybody needs to be a Harvard grad or a fucking good-looking guy. And they all suck, you know? Whatever. Stefanski's hot. Chicks like him. Wow, it doesn't fucking put points on the scoreboard, touchdowns in the end zone, you know?
Well, look at Bill Belichick. That guy looks like Shrek.
Oh, man, I love Bill Belichick. He needs to go back to Cleveland for the Swan song. He goes back to Cleveland and he can fucking win a Super Bowl, go down as the best coach in the history of any sport ever in the history of mankind.
Well, that's true. I was actually saying for years that, like, Tom Brady, I felt like Tom Brady was more of a boon to Bill. Now, at the same time, would Tom Brady have become what Tom Brady became without Bill Belichick? I don't think so. But I thought that, like, long term, Tom Brady was more of the reason for the success of the Patriots, which I think was, like, I think I was vindicated by that when Tom Brady left and won a Super Bowl and Bill Belichick stayed and the Patriots became mid. But at the same time, despite that happening, if Bill Belichick, like you said, came to Cleveland and, like, finished up his career there and won a Super Bowl with the fucking Browns, but dude, I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, not to be too much of a dick, but to be a little bit of a dick, because this is a rivalry podcast. If I showed up and became the coach of the Browns and won a Super Bowl, they'd put me in the Hall of Fame, like, right now.
Mm-hmm. So, I buy the cement for the statue, bro. Fuck.
Yeah, I would have to rethink my life, but I always said, not so much about coaching, but when I was a kid and I was playing football, I wasn't even good enough to play in college. So clearly I wouldn't have been good enough to play in the NFL, but had I ever made it to the NFL level, my thought process was like, if I get drafted by the Steelers, I'm going to play my ass off for 4 fucking years for that team, as good as I possibly can. That way I can leave their asses for for whatever team I want when I'm done. If I win a Super Bowl with them, then that'll just mean more money for me.
I'm so Cleveland with the Browns. I could never, like, even if I played, I would still be a Browns fan. Like, say I was like playing for Lions or whatever, the Browns in the Super Bowl, I'd be fucking cheering. Like, I mean, Browns. I mean, there's a lot of Cleveland people who say this. I mean, not the younger guys so much, but it's older guys. I mean, a Browns Super Bowl will pretty much be it. Like, everything else is done. We finally got the Cavs title, and because like the team left. I didn't even watch football. I watched like the 96, 97, 98. I maybe watched some of the Thanksgiving games and bigger games, but fuck, I barely watch football. You know what I mean? If you think, maybe root for the Bengals, root for the Bills, the Lions. I didn't watch anything, dude. I didn't care. You know what I mean?
I kind of feel you on that one though. Like, but it's a little different because we don't have like it's been I haven't seen in my life the Reds win a World Series. FC Cincinnati, they're really good this year, but that's a relatively new phenomenon, and also they're relatively new to the league. My college team, the Kentucky Wildcats, have a really great history of being really good, but they were like, with Rick Pitino, they were awesome when I was a little kid, and then they won. They had that like good run with Calipari in like the early 2010s, but that was really kind of like the only time that they were really like a juggernaut. They won one championship, which was awesome. But I can tell you personally that if it ain't the Bengals, it's not going to hit me the same way, like just with winning a championship. Because, like, I mean, when the Bengals almost won that Super Bowl, I was like, and then they didn't. I was on the floor. Like, now I was also about like 6 or 7 beers deep too.
Oh yeah.
But I was on the floor, just like collapsed. I'm like, why God, why is life like this? But like when I like back in the day before FC Cincinnati was a thing, I was a Columbus Crew fan. I watched them win the MLS finals, and I was like, hey, this is cool. But it wasn't that exciting. I watched Kentucky win the win the NCAA tournament, and that was cool. But it wasn't. I mean, I was like, yeah, they won, but it wasn't
if you're not in the immediate area. You know what I mean? Like, if you were on campus as you were a student in Kentucky, boom, that'd be fucking amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're like, I'm sure you like Kentucky, but it's not like you're going to get season tickets to Kentucky. It's not like you're going to go to 10 games a year. I mean, it's just a team that you like. You know what I mean? So it does hit different. I mean, when the teams I'm old enough to remember the Reds were good when I was like 10, 12, 11. They won the World Series in 90. That bullpen dude with Rob Dibble and Norm Charlton. You never forget the Nasty Boys. That was a great team back then, man. So the Reds were always, like, even if they had Eric Davis, and it's some great ball players, man. I remember, and the Tribe was just horrible back in the 80s, dude. They were so bad. But then the 90s came, they finally started doing okay, but then it's like they could never get over the hump. Never. It was always that cheapness. We could have got Pedro Martinez for Jarrett Wright. We never did. We didn't pull the trigger. Because Jarrett Wright in the 97 World Series, he won a couple games. He did really good. He was like the hottest chip on the market. He's 21 years old, bright young pitcher. And the Expos would have traded us freaking Pedro Martinez for him. We didn't do it. That Tribe team would have won 3-4 World Series with Pedro up there, bro. Fuck.
Mikey just made the comment. He said, he was very happy when he's a Saints fan. So he was really happy when LSU won the national championship. And I got to say, as far as non-Bengals teams that I've rooted for and watched win a championship, I'm not an LSU fan. But when Joe Burrow won that LSU national championship, because I knew he was going to be the Bengals quarterback, I reacted way stronger than I had any right to be reacting to LSU winning a national championship. I was like, let's fucking go.
I got a picture somewhere because my buddy lives down in Louisiana. This is 07, 08, somewhere there. I got a picture. I put maybe on MySpace actually, but they have a tiger cage down there. Back then it was Mike the Tiger. I don't know if Mike's dead or not, but they used to take a rescue tiger. They got like a 3-acre enclosure on campus, and he runs around and does tiger shit. But I put the Ohio State shirt up on the statue and took a picture and shit. That was in the Jamarcus Russell era. That was a long time ago. Probably that was before Jamarcus, I think. Whenever they won that title, because OSU was in back-to-back title games, 06, 07. They lost both of them.
Jamarcus was after that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was after that. He was right
I
after.
know.
that.
I'm sorry. He was before that. Like at LSU, he was before that because he was like 2000.
You know what? You're
He
right.
was about like 2006 when he got drafted, right?
Yeah, because he was the Joe Thomas Brady Quinn draft. That was 07. So that was the year before actually, because they won it the year after. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Regardless, Jamarcus was God, what a bust.
Well, yeah, Jamarcus was. Jamarcus was the first like bust that I remember, kind of like because like 06, 07, that's around when I really kind of started diving into like my football nerdiness. Because like when I was a kid, I went to the games and stuff like that, but like football didn't really hit me as like a passion until the Bengals actually got good, which was in 2005, and then 2006, 2007. Obviously, they were horrendous both of those years, but like I was interested. Yeah, I remember Jamarcus Russell kind of taking the world by storm and then ending up being just god awful. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
So
Kind of
bad.
reminds me of Johnny Manziel. The difference is I told everybody Johnny Manziel was going to be the biggest bust in NFL history, and nobody believed me. And I will walk back what I said. I will admit he was not the biggest bust in NFL history because he was drafted 24th.
Yeah, right. It's like Ryan Leaf was second. Jamarcus was even Achilles Smith second overall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. Like Achilles. See, I would almost argue that like Achilles Smith wasn't as bad as Ryan Leaf. Obviously, he wasn't as detrimental to the team, like to the locker room as Ryan Leaf was. But Ryan Leaf didn't cost an entire like 9 draft picks essentially. Like we turned down the Saints' entire draft class plus like another first and second round pick the following year, I think, because we were like, oh yeah, Achilles Smith's our guy.
Like, what a jet. That was funny. I had Ricky Williams on the show actually a while back, 2020. I had him on, and I asked him about that wedding dress. Like, do you remember? You were too young. You probably don't remember this. He did a photo shoot with ESPN the magazine where it said the perfect marriage, and he was in a wedding dress, and Mike Dick was in a tuxedo. It was the stupidest fucking thing ever. It was so funny though. I asked him where the wedding dress was. He said he sold it or something.
I'm familiar with that. I was like 6 years old at the time, so I didn't see the issue at the time, but I have seen it since then, yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back to these predictions. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Browns because like most of what I talked about was speculation about the Browns during this episode, and then I talked about why Bengals fans shouldn't panic, and that was. Like I wanted to get your perspective on what's going on.
I think all teams fans. I mean, besides a couple, but I mean, the parity is so real this year. It is. You got the best team. The team who thinks the best can beat the worst team. It's just I've never seen parity like this year.
Jamarcus says, or I'm sorry, Mikey says Jamarcus is his favorite bust ever. I don't know why he would be, Mikey. That I mean, he was pretty funny at the time, I suppose, but that was like, were you even alive when Jamarcus Russell was taken? I don't think you were. Could have been. I don't know. Mikey's like, I think 13, something like that, 14.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I'd love to be his grandpa.
I'd say I'm old enough to be his dad, but I got an 18-year-old, so I legitimately am. I'm only 31, but I'm old enough for it. Oh, because of LSU, right. That's why. Because of LSU, that makes sense. Yeah, he's 14. Okay, yeah. I always forget exactly because I thought you were 11 for a couple of years there, Mikey. I kept forgetting that people get older sometimes. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump back to these predictions, though. So we got the Tennessee Titans traveling to Indianapolis to play the Colts. What do you think?
I think the Colts are going to win this. And I think the Colts are going to win big, to be honest with you, because you got Jonathan Taylor just signed his contract. Richardson's in there. Richardson's a good quarterback. I think Richardson's a real deal. It's going to take him a little bit to come around. I think the Colts might be a playoff team, dude, to be honest with you. That AFC South is kind of weak. I mean, I don't know if weak is the best word. Maybe it's just so up for grabs, but the Colts got a really good shot there. I think the Colts win big in this.
Yeah. So I personally need to be very careful with this because Titans fans are after my head right now because before When I did my live stream of the Bengals Titans game, and I actually mentioned this in the podcast earlier, but Titans fans ripped me a fucking new one because I was talking so much shit about before that game, and it wasn't like I was trying to be mean to the Titans. It was more just like factually stating that the Titans suck and that the Bengals, if the Bengals have any hope, they need to get it together against this team. And so I predicted I think a 31-17 win for the Bengals because I was like, oh, this is the year, this is the week. Like our defense is pretty good, and this has got to be the week when the offense gets it together, right? I've got this feeling. I don't know why. Obviously, that feeling was full of shit. But Titans fans have just been letting me have it ever since. And I said this before. I said this earlier. I'll say it again. But where the fuck were they when I was saying that shit? They came and they gave me tons of shit about it after the fact, but they didn't say shit to me until after the game was over.
Yeah, so, that's how it goes.
I guess, but I'm gonna agree with you. I'm still not 100% sure about the Titans. Yeah, they blasted the Bengals, but that might have been the worst game I've seen from the Bengals in since the last time we played the Browns, I guess.
Well, do you think, bro?
Well, not even that. You remember a couple I think it was 21. The Bengals played the Browns, and I think Denzel Ward's the Bengals were going off on that drive at the beginning of the game.
Oh yeah, pick six, 94 yards. I was at that game. I remember that. It was 2021.
That was the worst performance I'd seen from the Bengals, and still have seen from the Bengals since the dark times, right? But this Titans game was close to that. It wasn't quite that bad because Joe Burrow once again is not out there throwing picks and stuff. Joe Burrow's still taking care of the ball, but every other aspect of the team was about that bad. So it's congratulations for beating the Bengals Titans, but I mean we're talking about a version of the Bengals that's not really that impressive to beat. So dude, any team in the NFL, but
you might have talked about this already, but is your Joe Burrow, how did he look last week? Is he healthy? I mean, I've seen Bengals fans yo, we got a big investment here. If we can shut him down for a couple games and, we don't get to the playoffs this year, whatever. I mean, just keep the main guy healthy. What's your take on that? Is he looking okay? Do you push through or what's up?
I think he's healthy. He says he's healthy, by the way. He says, after the Titans game is the best that he's felt all year. And I believe it because honestly, during my stream, people kept saying, I guess maybe the announcers were speculating that he was having trouble planting on his calf, and that's why he couldn't, he was having a bad game. But quite frankly, Joe, I'm gonna sit here and tell you right now, Joe Burrow's accuracy was fine. Joe Burrow, I thought he was throwing just fine. He didn't look injured to me. He just looked like he was having a bad day. It was looking the offense the scheme was bad. There wasn't a whole lot of, good stuff to build off of. There was, miscommunication with the receivers and stuff like that, but it wasn't inaccuracy. And he says he's healthy. And I kind of believe him because people kept saying oh, he clearly looks injured out there. But I think that's just people who don't know football basically just looking at oh, they're losing. Why are they losing? Well, it must be because this guy's injured and that must be the reason, without actually diving into it. But as I'm watching, I'm he doesn't look that injured to me. He looks fine. He just looks like he's having a bad day. So I think he's fine. And the other thing is people keep saying that the Bengals need to sit Joe Burrow for a couple of weeks so that they can try to salvage the season. And the thing is, when it comes to calf strains of this variety, resting him for 2 or 3 weeks isn't gonna make a difference. You're not gonna risk him being hurt further during those 2 to 3 weeks, but then you're going to bring him back and he's going to be about the same level of health anyway. And he's also going to be cold on that calf. So, I mean, the thing is would sitting him help him get better? Yeah. If you sit him for the whole season. So it's there's no point in sitting him for 2 to 3 weeks, especially at this point with the way that the season's gone. Maybe if you'd done that the first couple of games, and you'd given Jake Browning a chance to try to go win some of those games, maybe you could have brought Joe Burrow back and all right, it's crunch time, go out there, do your thing. But again, you're probably not making him that much better by doing that. And I don't know. I think people are a little too reactionary with. I think people are just blaming everything on the calf right now. And I think we're kind of at the point where the calf is not the reason why there are struggles. I mean, frankly, the defense looked like shit. That has nothing to do with Joe Burrow's calf.
Yeah, defense does have to have some work to do. But, I mean, they still got some weapons. So it's still so early, man. the people you think are going to win it right now, it might change next week. Every week. But with Browns, it's like after week 1 we're all high, and after week 2 we're all down, and week 2 we're all high again, and week 3 we're down. So it's like we got a roller coaster going.
That's the thing. The Houston Texans in 2018 ended up. I think. No, they didn't win their. I think, but they ended up making the playoffs. The 2018 Houston Texans made the playoffs despite starting 0-3. You know, I mean, and that wasn't that long ago, right? That was like 5 years ago. So I mean, why can't the Bengals do that? Like, to be fair, that wasn't really Deshaun Watson's fault at the time. Deshaun Watson was having an okay year up to that point. It wasn't his fault that they were losing. It's clearly Joe Burrow's fault, the reason why the Bengals are losing. But at the same time, like, what does Joe Burrow do if not bounce back? That's like his whole thing.
Right, he's an underdog, kind of scrappy blue collar underdog type.
I mean, look at he went from like being the nobody at OSU to going to LSU and being bad at first. If you recall, that first year, nobody thought Joe Burrow was draftable after his first year at LSU. Then his final year at LSU, he just pops off, and suddenly he's the number 1 overall pick. And then Bengals got off to some rough starts the last couple of years. Nothing this bad, but they went to the Super Bowl and almost went. They were within like a couple of plays of going back to the Super Bowl again the following year, despite getting off to the starts that they get. I mean, they were 0-2, starting off 2 games in the division last year, 0-2 in the division, and they came back. So I'm not saying that's gonna happen this year. I'm just saying if there's one thing Joe Burrow's known for doing, it's getting his shit together and coming back. So I'm not. I think it's crazy that people are giving up on the season already.
Yep. Overreaction.
Next up, we got Giants and Dolphins.
Hey, let's take a look who I picked on this one. I got the Dolphins. The Giants. Saquon's just never healthy. Daniel Jones obviously he's Daniel Jones. What do you want? I mean, this could be an upset. I mean, this is one of those games where it's the point of the year where Tua usually starts, getting the slowies and shit. And I think Dolphins did lose last week, but I think they take it. It's not going to be a big win. It'll probably be like 24-20, something like that. But I think the Dolphins pull it out. The Giants will probably cover spread, I think, though.
All right, so I'm gonna make fun of you for a second here, Joe. But I'm gonna do a quick impression of you. Tell me if this looks good. Okay, so we got a game against the Dolphins and the Giants. I better check to see who I thought was gonna win between the Dolphins and the fucking Giants. Of course, the Dolphins are gonna win. The Giants are terrible. I thought Daniel Jones was gonna have I am not a Daniel Jones believer, but I thought he was gonna have like a serviceable year this year to kind of justify that contract. Nope.
Like a Troy type year at least. At least be a good game manager. Yeah, he's just all over the place.
He's terrible. He's terrible. I drafted him in a couple of my fantasy leagues because I was trying to be the smartest guy in the room, right? I was like, I'm going to not take a quarterback early I'm going to get Daniel Jones and he's going to be probably good enough to – nope, my God. Oh, wow. I've been scouring the waiver wires for quarterbacks in all of those leagues. It's been bad. All right, Saints, Patriots, and I know we all know who Mikey's thinks going to win this one, but what do you think?
I got the Saints in this. I think you think about it, you just look at the records. This is probably a game the Patriots win, but I mean, I think Saints pull it out. No real reason. I think Kamara's back now, so that'll play in. I just think those have better players and pull it out. This isn't a high confidence pick, you know what I mean? But I think Saints pull it out.
Well, I was talking about it earlier with Mikey, and then talking about the Patriots a little earlier with you. But I mean, just like the Patriots, they aren't a good football team anymore. Yeah. I'm not saying they're I don't even think they're going to have a top 10 pick or anything like that. But the Patriots, I don't believe in them right now. They're not putting up particularly good results. And the Saints are a little bit better than I thought they were going to be this year. They've been competitive in a lot of cases. They'd be 3-1 right now if it wasn't for that comeback by the Packers. Which, I mean, to be fair, they also let the comeback happen, so you got to give them negative points for that one too. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of going up against the Patriots. I definitely believe in the Saints here. Now, if they were playing like the Chiefs or something like that, we'd be having a different discussion. But it's not. It's the Patriots, so I'll take the Saints here too. All right. So next we got Eagles Rams. What you got?
I think the Rams shock here. I think the Rams pull this one off. The Rams are surprising me, dude. They really are. I wrote the Rams off. I figured the Rams were gonna be like 4-13 and suck this year. Mm-hmm. The Rams have just played some good football, man. I mean, that Puka Nacua is just killing it. They got Cooper Kupp's coming back this week. I think the Rams, they're going to win big, but they'll win by a touchdown. That'd be a convincing win too. Eagles aren't as good as people think, man. They really aren't. I've watched a lot of Eagles games this year, and they're very suspect in my opinion. I think the Rams get the upset here.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I think the Eagles are a damn good, like, solid football team, and yeah, it hasn't been like, you know, the like we're not watching the 2017 Patriots here, right? But I think the Eagles are. I mean, they did similar shit last year, you know. So I mean, like, the Eagles aren't like, you know, the most complete amazing football team of all time, but they get results, and like they're
got a good defense.
They're extremely competent, which is a really boring way to put it, but they're extremely competent. And bro, the Rams lost to us, so if you lose to us, you suck. Okay, so I'm taking the Eagles. All right, next we got Jets Broncos in what has got to be another barn burner. You know, I mean, like, we were all subject to that Bears Broncos game for whatever god awful reason. Like, you know, God must have abandoned us to let us watch that game in the first place. But we're here now, and now we got Jets Broncos. We got Zach Wilson going up against Russell Wilson.
I think the Jets take this. I don't believe in the Broncos at all. I don't like anything they're doing up there. I just don't. I don't think the Jets are as bad as people think. I mean, obviously Zach isn't the best, but I mean, they still got good defense. I mean, Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams are really good, so I think the Jets will yoke this one. The Jets will they're probably going to be in the basement. We got to be real. Probably finish like 7-10 or like they'll have their share wins this year, but they'll definitely beat the fucking Broncos.
Yeah, I agree. I will say I'll push back a little bit though, because I thought that this was going to be the year that things worked out for the Broncos. Not full on, but like, I thought, you know, Russell Wilson was going to, like, you know, like I said all last year, Russell Wilson's going to take a year, but after that year, things are going to like work better, because that's typically how free agent quarterbacks work, right? Like, you have the adjustment year and then things work out. Now, I got to say, I was partially right, because Russell Wilson actually Russell Wilson's been doing well. He's not the problem in Denver this year. But I did not anticipate how bad that Broncos defense was going to be, how bad that whole team was going to be. I think Sean Payton is a fucking cancer and might be the most overrated coach in NFL history. Drew Brees basically made him look like a legend. And then obviously, like, Drew Brees stops being elite, and suddenly Sean Payton never does shit with the Saints. So, I mean, like, I think he's got to be the most overrated coach in NFL history, and like, there's just so much working against the Broncos. It sucks because I think Russell Wilson really worked his ass off this offseason, and he's showing some results, but he's just got so much working against him. And it's like, the Jets, you know, the Jets kind of, you know, low-key were kind of keeping it close with the Chiefs there for a little bit with Zach Wilson. And like, I'm not saying Zach Wilson's going to be like the next, like, he's going to come back and like be like the next Geno Smith or anything like that, except he's still with the Jets. But I do think that Zach Wilson is a little better than I think people thought he was going to be at this point, especially with this Aaron Rodgers just disappearing out of nowhere. So, I mean, I definitely think the Jets are definitely the more likely team to win this game. And then it's just like picking the Broncos at this point. Like, will the Broncos win a couple more games this year? I'm sure they're not going to go 1-16. But it's just really hard to pick the Broncos right now at all.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Chiefs, Vikings.
All right. I got the Chiefs winning this. Vikings, I mean, they got a shot. I mean, they got a great offense. But I mean, I think Mahomes is getting in the groove now, and he's got Kelsey back. I got to tell you a story. Right. So Sunday night, I'm getting ready to watch the fucking game. Good game. Sunday night game. I watch football all day, whatever. And it's 8:20. Get ready to kick off. And they cut to the Carson Daly and the cast of Let's Dance or whatever. And they start going in this time. Dude, I got my blood started fucking boiling, dude. I was like, this is a fucking insult to football fans. They literally turned it off, went to bed. I had watched 1 fucking second of that game. Keep that shit off my fucking. It was fun for a week. Fucking stop it. No more with that shit. God damn the way they talk down to people. That was such a fucking insult to my intelligence. I'm still irate about that. I haven't been that mad in a while about something so arbitrary, but that was fucking uncalled for. Fuck you, NBC. Assholes. Dick Ebersol. Eat my ass, piece of shit. I ain't got no time for this. Fucking show us football. We tune in for fucking football. We want to watch football. All right? Bottom line. End or end.
Well, there you go. That's Joe. But by the way, I got is it Vorrell or Vorrell?
It's Vorrell.
Vorrell. Okay, so that's Joe Vorrell's opinion on NBC, unedited, unscripted. All right, but anyway, Chiefs Vikings. Which team do you think is going to win?
Chiefs win that for sure.
Chiefs, yeah. The Vikings right now are showing exactly what they were supposed to show last year. I think, like the Vikings are actually playing like the team that they were supposed to be last year. They kept winning last year, and you couldn't figure out why. And I still can't figure out why, because this is who they were the whole time. You know, obviously losing Zadarius Smith, I think impacted the Vikings in a certain way. But at the same time, these are similar results that you saw last year. The only difference is they're not winning them now. So yeah, I definitely think, I mean, I don't want to pick the Chiefs. I'm going to be rooting my ass off for the Vikings because fuck the Chiefs. Got to be the most, like, I'm not going to say I hate Chiefs fans more than I hate Steelers fans, but I'm not going to lie. Chiefs fans have definitely been way more annoying than Steelers fans.
Chiefs fans are actually kind of nice. Like, we went to the game out in Arrowhead. They were, granted they won.
Fans, they aren't.
Granted they won, but I mean, they were cordial the whole time. If we would have beat them, I don't know how nice it would have been, but I don't know. It seemed nice. Granted, that was a couple years ago too. Who knows?
Well, see, that's the crazy thing. For years, I've always actually gotten along really well with Chiefs fans. Like, like a lot of people I've had on my show, Chiefs fans. When I was a kid, I kind of liked the Chiefs because I liked their, like the red uniforms and the logo and everything like that. But just like ever since Patrick Mahomes showed up in Kansas City, they've just like completely lost their goddamn minds.
He's so transcendent. I hate that the Browns missed out on him. I mean, Mahomes will probably go down as the top 3. I mean, he's that good. I mean, the guy's a fucking football wizard. There's no way around it.
I'm going to tell on myself a little bit here, but when the Chiefs traded up to get Patrick Mahomes in 2017, was it? They traded up to number 10, and I laughed at them. I was like, you guys are out of your minds. You guys got a solid playoff quarterback in Alex Smith, and this Patrick Mahomes guy, he's like a second round pick at best. You're trading up to the number 10 overall to get him. Y'all are completely insane. And to some extent, I almost kind of stand by that because I thought that they could have probably, if they wanted him that badly, they could have gotten him without having to trade up. But at the same time, knowing what we know now, maybe some of the scouts saw that. And so maybe the Chiefs felt like, oh, we can't wait. Like we have to take the 10. And I guess I look like an idiot now but like at the time, I thought the Chiefs were insane for trading up for Patrick Mahomes.
I was at that draft. That draft was in Philly. Me and my boys went to that draft. It was Browns had 3 picks that round because we could have had, check this out. We could have had fucking TJ Watt and Patrick Mahomes and not made any trades. Think about that. Fuck. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Miles, but TJ Watt and Mahomes would have been a good fucking team.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like, who would you rather have, Myles Garrett or TJ Watt? Like, I think I would rather have Myles Garrett.
Really? I'd rather have TJ Watt, to be honest with you. I really would. I think he plays better with the team. Myles has more big moments, for sure, I think. And he's obviously a better athlete, but, like, Watt just has that football eye. You know what I mean? That football thing to just make it sucks. Because I met Myles. Myles is a hell of a nice guy. He's great in the community. He's probably one of my favorite Browns players, but Watt just has that little bit extra. Maybe it's just the Cleveland-Pittsburgh thing. Pittsburgh just has that winning culture we don't play. I don't know. We'll see. It should be a fun battle throughout their career.
I remember that year, I think Deshaun Watson was the only quarterback that I liked in that entire draft class. And I kind of liked Mitch Trubisky. I'm obviously was very wrong about, like, not very wrong, because I didn't think he was going to be amazing. I just thought he was I thought he was overdrafted at number 2 overall for sure. But I didn't think he was going to be like actually bad. I thought Deshaun Watson, he's like, this is a bad quarterback class. It's going to be Deshaun Watson and then everybody else is probably going to be out of the league in like 5 years. And the boy was out. Deshaun Watson was out of the league in 5 years. And he came back, but still. All right. So we got Cowboys 49ers, the ubiquitous, all-encompassing like rivalry from way back in the day that, you know, is actually quite relevant today because the Cowboys are really good and the 49ers are really good. So
I think the Niners take this. Cowboys got some serious injuries on defense and keep creeping up. I think the Niners are a well put together team. I'm really impressed with what they're doing in San Francisco. I mean, the way McCaffrey's having an MVP type year, we gotta be real. I mean, right now he's probably the leading candidate to get the MVP. And just the way they put in Ayuk and fucking Debo and Kyle Juszczyk, and they got Brock back there. It's just such a, I mean, I hate to use the word transcendent, but before I've seen so far, I mean, it's just a great transcendent offense. I think the Niners, I got to blow them out. They'll probably win by 7 to 10 points, something like that. I think the Niners take this, though.
I feel like it's not great. What is it? Television streaming, whatever. It's not great watching to just have an entire thing where, you know, like 9 out of 10 games, I'm just like, I agree with you, Joe. But I'm also trying to be realistic. I agree with you. The 49ers, like the Cowboys, they lost to the Cardinals, so I'm already kind of skeptical of them in the first place. 49ers just keep kicking everybody's ass. And until further notice, like I'm just going to keep picking the 49ers every week. Like, I hate to say it because I don't like the 49ers. You know, they beat my team in the Super Bowl twice, and that was before I was born, but I'm still bitter. So, you know, but at the same time, you know, I'll call a spade a spade. They're a really good football team. You know, I'll pick them every week until they stop doing that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Packers, Raiders.
All right, I think the Raiders win this one. I think I'm just not sold on the Packers. I'm not. I think they won a couple games out their asses. I think Jordan Love's very, very suspect. I don't really see him as a quarterback of the future in Green Bay. I think the Raiders take this.
All right. Okay. So I get to disagree with you here. I'm happy. So I just don't believe in the Raiders at all. That's the main thing here. Like I'm kind of up and down on the Packers, which reflects quite well with them being a 500 football team right now, right? But I mean, you know, like I was talking about this with the Saints earlier too, but had, you know, a couple of like 1 or 2 things gone different in that Saints game, the Packers could be 3-1 right now. And, you know, Jordan Love is not Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, but I think there's just it's like, how do the Packers keep like just plugging in new quarterbacks? Well, this is our franchise guy right here. You know, like whether or not Jordan Love is like, you know, the like elite answer at the position, he looks like at the very least he could be like an Andy Dalton for them.
Yeah, competent, but I just don't see it. I just don't see him carrying on that legacy. There's a reason he was a second round pick, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's so much better. But we'll see.
As I recall, the reason he was a second round pick is because he had first round talent, but he had almost like undrafted levels of like not production, but what's the word? Refinement. Like, you know, like people are like, dude, this guy is raw, but if we can harness him, he can be great. So I think the Packers were like, we got Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years. Let's, you know, sit this Jordan Love behind him so that he can kind of like sit and absorb. And right now what we're seeing is like, did that strategy work? Does sitting a quarterback with a lot of potential behind a Hall of Famer, does that work? Because, I mean, it worked for Patrick Mahomes, frankly, because Patrick Mahomes was raw coming out of college too. And, you know, he sat behind not a Hall of Famer by any means, but he sat behind a very, you know, solid quarterback in Alex Smith.
First overall pick. Give me like 20 seconds. I really got to pee before you run this.
That's fair. But yeah, so Alex Smith, you know, my whole opinion on Alex Smith is just he was a first overall pick. Obviously, that was a disaster for the 49ers because he, you know, they passed up on like Aaron Rodgers, and, you know, people talk about Alex Smith being a bust. The fact of the matter is, like, Alex Smith was not as big of a bust in San Francisco as people act like. It's like, yeah, he didn't live up to the number 1 overall, but he did some decent things there for San Francisco, and they ended up trading him to the Chiefs because he was halfway decent, right? So, you know, and then he gets to Kansas City. He has like that big, massive like comeback victory that has, you know, since been there. Or I'm sorry. He actually lost to Andrew Luck. So never mind, I'm wrong about that one. But at the same time, Alex Smith was like a solid, serviceable quarterback. And again, not a Hall of Famer by any means. But I think, him being there for Patrick Mahomes early in Patrick Mahomes' career showed Patrick Mahomes, how to it's kind of like Tom Brady sitting behind Drew Bledsoe. You've got, a guy who could take a step if you give him the right situation, but you got to give him the right situation, a little bit of time to develop. And I think that's what the Packers' perspective on Jordan Love was. Whether or not that's going to work, I don't know. But I think, I think it might. We haven't seen a lot of good. When we have seen Jordan Love, we haven't seen a lot of good from him before this season. But now he's here, and he seems to be playing pretty okay. Like I said, he might end up being an Andy Dalton for them, but that would be better than what could have been the alternative, honestly. So I don't think that's necessarily a terrible thing. All right. John, I didn't say hi to you earlier, but yeah, wow. So you got the Chiefs winning. Yeah, Chiefs definitely winning. Niners defense in fantasy, go Niners. Also, they're a Rams rival. San Fran for me in this game. Yeah, well, I'm just, ever since the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, I'm just skeptical. That's my whole perspective on that one. There was a time we wanted Andy Dalton in a Saints uniform. Well, there's a time you had Andy Dalton in a Saints uniform, Mikey. And then I remember there was that one game. I forget who y'all were playing, but there was that one Thursday night football game that Andy Dalton just threw 5 fucking picks, and it was over at that point. Andy Dalton, the idea of Andy Dalton being the successor to Drew Brees in New Orleans, that's not happening anymore. After he had a game like that on prime time, it's there's Andy again. All right, Joe. We got all we got left is division games. So let's go ahead and start with the non-hour teams. So Ravens and Steelers are playing each other this week. And I can tell you personally, it makes me sick to want to do this, but I almost kind of have to root for the Steelers here just because we got to rein the Ravens in. Now the Ravens will probably rein themselves in because they do it every year, right? They collapse every year. But I don't want to count on that. I it's at the same time, if they don't collapse enough, it could be a problem. So the Steelers aren't good. So if they can be good enough to beat the Ravens, then maybe this division stays close for both of our teams are not doing great right now.
No, they suck. So, both our teams suck. Yeah, be real. Both suck right now.
Right. I think both of our teams have the talent to turn it around. But if we do that, we need the Ravens to basically stay in their place, right? So
I'm picking Pittsburgh to win this game. I mean, is it a little bit of a heart pick, maybe? But I'm not sold on the Ravens right now. Yeah, I mean, they're very, they're the Ravens, like you said. So it's and Pittsburgh just finds a way to win games like this. Yeah, I hate it because I don't fucking like the Steelers, but I just see them taking it. I mean, it's a rivalry game as much as I hate to admit it now. I mean, the rivalries are pretty much Browns, Bengals, Steelers, Ravens now. If you go by who's beating who and the relevance and shit like that, and who doesn't like who's winning and whatnot. I mean, the Browns haven't beaten the Steelers or the Ravens in any capacity for probably ever in most of the people who are watching this lifetime. So, I mean, it's so they're not really rivals, the main rival if you really break it down, but Browns fans says they are, but I think the Steelers take this. It's going to be a fucking bloodbath. I mean, like any of these AFC North games. It'll be really close. I
agree.
It's like that, but
it's going to be a close one, I think. I'm gonna take the Ravens. I hate games like this because I'm going to be watching the whole time, and I kind of secretly probably going to want the Steelers to win, but I'm going to I'm going to be smacking myself every time. I'm like, oh yeah, the Steelers got a fuck the Steelers, but they got a sack, and that's probably good long term, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. I hate games like this, but
dude, for the Browns fans, it's horrible because there's no way we win in a week like this. The Ravens are playing the Steelers. No matter who wins that game, it's fucking bad for us. And we got a bye week, so we can't get any grounds. This is the shittiest week ever for Browns fans right now.
I will say from a Bengals perspective, I guess it's kind of the opposite. Whoever loses could be good for the Bengals, right? Because if the Ravens lose, then that kind of keeps the division within some semblance of shooting distance. If the Steelers lose, then I mean there could be a good shot that we're, competing with teams like that for the wild card. So it's probably good to have them kind of, put down a peg. And if we can win next week and the Steelers lose, then, we've got the same, we'll still be last place because we're 0-2 in the division. Wait, are we? Yeah, we are. So we're 0-2 in the division. And, that would definitely be kind of an issue. But at the same time, both teams will be 2-3 if the Bengals can win, the Steelers can lose. So either one of these teams losing is good for us. At the same time, either team winning is also bad for us. But at the same time, we did that shit to ourselves.
Right. Same here.
So I'll just take what I can get at this point. But realistically, I think the Ravens, because I agree with you. I don't really believe that much in the Ravens, but I really don't believe in the Steelers. I think the Steelers are trash. And the only team the Ravens have lost to so far is the Colts. Now, that was with Gardner Minshew, to be fair. But, they came close to losing to the Bengals, which, as I just said a few minutes ago, that's a black mark right there. But they beat the shit out of the Texans in week 1, and they beat the shit out of the Browns last week. So, I don't feel the Steelers are very good. So if the Steelers defense is going to have to win this game, and if they can't hold Lamar Jackson down, it's going to be a problem. So we'll see with that one, I guess. All right, so let's go talk about. Are y'all on a bye?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, if there's any week for Thomas to miss, I guess then it's this one.
Right.
All right. So then last we got Bengals Cardinals.
I think this is a fucking no-brainer. The Bengals win this, probably win big. If we're being real, probably by 2-3 touchdowns. I don't see the Cardinals doing much, and there's probably a lot of Bengals fans going to this game. It's no secret that when AFC North teams play down in the desert Southwest, that whole area, we travel real well. Pretty much all of us, except the Ravens, really. Bengals, Steelers, and Browns fans travel really well. So it'll probably be 30 to 40% of people up there in Pink Taco Stadium in Glendale, whatever it's called. I call it Pink Taco because, there's this place called the Pink Taco Restaurant down in that area, and they wanted to buy the naming rights to it, and the NFL wouldn't let them. But I think the Bengals win this big. I really do. I think Jamar probably gets a couple touchdowns. I think he finally gets some points in the board. I just don't. I don't know. I don't think Dobbs has it in him to beat that defense. I just don't.
Well, Jamar's been good this year. He's definitely not the problem. But I don't know. We'll see. I think the Bengals win this week too, partially because I just think the Cardinals are dumpster trash. The fact that they beat the Cowboys was remarkable, but it also just kind of felt like one of those bottom feeder team beats and a top tier team out of nowhere just randomly at one point. It didn't feel like the Cardinals like if that game gets played 100 times, the Cardinals maybe win 15 of those games, right?
Right.
So the Cardinals are bad. Josh Dobbs is not that great. Obviously the Bengals have to actually show up and do something. It feels, I said that I'm going to get myself in trouble because I said this about the Titans last week, but it feels like a get right game for the Bengals, right? But even more so this week, because it's the way Joe Burrow's been talking. It's the way that everybody's kind of really just super hyper focused right now on the Bengals. And despite the fact that people are trying to create drama, from what I can tell, there's no real drama coming from the Bengals right now. They're all laser focused on this one goal. And up against a team like the Cardinals, I can't imagine that it doesn't come together this week. Now, whether that means the season starts turning around next week, I'm not saying we're going 14-3. I'm just saying that the Cardinals, the Bengals are in get right mode and the Cardinals are a get right team. So that's just kind of what it feels like to me. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. John had a question talking about the Ravens-Steelers game, asked if these two teams tied, would that be good for either of our teams?
I think it would be, actually. It
wouldn't be bad.
Yeah. Honestly, a tie would be fucking amazing. I'd love that. Go for a tie.
It'd be funny. It'd be funny.
Right.
Sure.
I always like ties. Ties are one of those. I like things that happen in sport that don't happen too often. And it's not as it's a lot more common now. Back in the day, you used to have to play a whole 15-minute quarter game. It was rare. Like you get one tie every 4, 5, 6 years. It didn't never happen. When they changed it to the 10-minute quarters, it happens a lot more. But I just like things that don't happen too often. So ties are always kind of funny. It's always funny to see people bitch about ties afterwards. Like, oh, they shouldn't have ties. No, ties are fun.
Now, ties, I agree. Ties are funny. Now, I, as a Bengals fan, have seen more than my fair share of ties over the years, which is annoying. But yeah, I think ties are funny because they're so rare. Like, I mean, there shouldn't be ties, but like they're so rare. Why do you care that much? I don't know. But as far as like, I'm actually going to say like a tie would actually be really bad for the Bengals. Because I was just talking about how like I'm going to feel good and bad at the same time because one of these teams is going to lose, and I really need both of these teams to lose. So if both of these teams come away with a half loss, that's not necessarily good because the Bengals need one of these teams to lose. So if they can get their shit together, they can kind of, have some path to getting back on track. And if it's the Steelers, maybe you're shooting for a wild card, and maybe you're hoping that the Ravens kind of fall off, and maybe you can get your own shit together and go win the division. But if it's a tie, then nobody loses, and the Bengals need somebody to lose. Like ideally, both of these teams would lose, but obviously that's not going to happen. Tying is not both teams losing, though. Tying is a half win for each team, and that's not good for the Bengals. So,
how many playoff teams did come out of the AFC North?
How many playoff teams come? One.
I think just one, really.
Yeah, I don't think this division's very good this year. Honestly.
You don't think you get a wild card? I think we get two.
I mean, it could be kind of like if the Bengals do get their shit together, it could be kind of like last year where like the Ravens and Bengals both make it just because the Ravens are always somehow in the mix. But like, I don't think the Ravens are that good. The Steelers aren't good. The Browns are talented, but not actually good. And then right now the Bengals aren't good. So it's just like, I think this might be one of the worst years that the AFC North has had as a division in a long time. So, I mean, I wouldn't like bet money on this being a year where we only send one team, but I mean, if I have to put money on something, I think right now I just don't feel like this is a very good division.
Well, it's like if you think of the other teams, I mean, you probably get one of in the East. You'll probably get a wild card team out of there, because probably the Bills and Dolphins will probably make it. And then in the South, I mean, the South is, I would say the South is worse than the North. I mean, you got the Jags, Titans, Colts, and Texans. I mean, whoever the best, I mean, that division winner is probably going to have 10 wins, so they're probably not going to have a wild card. The West, I mean, the Chiefs will obviously win the West, but I mean, between the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos, I don't see a wild card out there. That still leaves two wild cards wide the fuck open. You know what I mean? It is a possibility for three teams in the North, I think. The AFC is a lot worse than we thought going into the year. It's for all periods after 4 weeks at least. I mean, because you were going into the year, you were taking all the Jets are going to do awesome. The Patriots got a shot. The Broncos did, and these teams just they just suck, dude. Well, they suck.
I never believed in the Patriots, to be honest with you, but I definitely thought the Broncos were going to bounce back this year. And who was the other team you said?
Some of the Chargers. Chargers ain't no shit.
That's because the Chargers suck. That's because Justin Herbert is like, as talented as Justin Herbert is, he's just another Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. 6 less kids.
That's my analysis on Herbert. Like, I mean, he's a very talented player, but he just doesn't have it in the way that you really need to like kind of galvanize a whole football team. So I just the Chargers, I think, are in for another 10 years of like feeling like they can do something maybe, but never actually doing anything. So
thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else then, Joe?
No, man, it's about it. Just I'm going to Michigan tomorrow. I might watch some of the games. I don't know. It's a shitty bye week. It's a shitty time for a bye week, in my opinion. I don't know. Some people are like, "Oh, it's good," but it just kills any momentum. Not that we had any momentum, but like, and we got 2 weeks, and we got the fucking Niners coming up. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is gonna be a long fucking month. So I don't know. We'll see.
I feel you. I don't even know when our bye week is. Like off the top of my head.
I have to look.
No, that's tickets. Bengals schedule. too early. I agree with John. John says it's too early for bye weeks. I don't know why the Browns have a bye week this damn early.
So Browns, there's 4 teams: Browns, Chargers, Bucks, and can't remember the other one.
Yeah, I mean, I know it happens, but our bye week is in 2 weeks. So we got the Cardinals this week, we got the Seahawks next week, and then we got our bye week. So, I mean, like, man, I'll tell you one thing, man. If we could come out of this, like, if we could, beat the Cardinals, we got to beat the Cardinals. And then if we could, like, I mean, it feels like an upset. It feels like beating anybody good right now is an upset for the Bengals. But I mean, if we can come out, we can beat the Seahawks. And we go into the bye week 3-3, right? And then, I mean, we got 49ers, we got Bills, we got Texans, apparently are pretty good. Then we got Ravens. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough stretch after the bye. But, like, the thing is, if this Bengals team is clicking, they can beat anybody. So I'm just hoping that, like, we can go into the bye 3-3, and then maybe we can really kind of restart the season from that point. But week 5,
that's
like,
the only thing that
you
gives
have
you
a bye in week 5.
The only thing that gives me going on the Browns is that the schedule looks so winnable. You know what I mean? We got the Broncos, we got the Bears, we got the Jets. I mean, there's some shit teams we're playing. I mean, the only game that you the only game you look at and probably say is a definite loss is the 49ers. Every other game, we're either going to be favored or close to it. I mean, it's that's the only thing that really keeps me going. I mean, I say that now, we'll probably be fucking 3-6 by the time in November. But I mean, fuck it. It just the schedule looks so favorable. It really does. Like back-to-back weeks. I think we had like Cardinals, Broncos, and Bears back-to-back weeks. It'd be just fucking insane, dude. I don't know.
Yeah. Feel it. All right, but yeah, like I said, I think that's about it for this episode, man. We've been on for about an hour and a half, which is longer than I usually want to go, but actually, honestly, shorter than we normally go.
Right.
Like me and Thomas keep going for like 2 hours, and I keep trying to be like, I don't personally want to go for like 2 damn hours. Like we just kind of end up doing that. But some people stick around for it, and I guess if people like it, then I'll keep doing it. But for now, though, that's pretty much it. I got a bunch of other stuff I got to get going and doing. And Joe, I know you sound like you've had a pretty busy day so far. So that's pretty much it. Y'all can always catch more of what I do at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/the Phelps. This podcast here, which is currently only available on my channel, but I'm trying to figure out a way to get it so that I can simulcast it on the other channel. But go subscribe to it because I'll figure it out eventually. And then let's see. Other than that, I'm on TikTok now. So at Kyle Phelps 92 on TikTok. Joe, where can they find you?
If you want to follow me on social media, just any platform, Joe Vorrell, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Square Table Degenerates on YouTube. Check us out. Every Friday we got new guests, fun shows. Next Friday we got this guy named Johnny Lechner. He's famous for going to college for like the longest time ever. He went to college for like 14 years, got like 3 degrees or some shit. He's a fun guy, so it'll be a good time. And we always having, and you were talking about Drew Brees. I think I told you this last week. I talked to Drew Brees' agent on the phone. It sounds like I might be able to get him on the show, but I got to call after the football season. So remind me after the Super Bowl to call that guy so I can get Drew Brees on. Because I think the veteran thing, he saw the veteran thing. So he's like, oh, and that's what I need. I need a better pitch to these guys to get them, like, hey, this is a guy who was in the service, he looked good for you, but we'll see. So we definitely have fun over there. So definitely check us out. Right on.
Yeah. I've watched that show a couple times, and y'all are always a hoot. It's a fun show. I definitely recommend it. Oh, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. So I'll leave y'all as always with a hootie.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on and filling in for Thomas, man. He's just been completely slammed this week.